All right. Hello, everyone. It's September 7th, 2023, and this is the Backdrop Weekly Developer Meeting. We've got just a small group here today. It's myself and Jen. I'm Nate Lampton. I'm Quick Sketch on the Internet, technical lead for the Backdrop project. And Jen, do you want to give
I'm
yourself an
Jen
intro?
Lampton, joining from Oakland, California.
So it looks like we got a small group today with just the two of us, but we do have some exciting news as things are moving forward towards the 126 release. We put out the Backdrop 126 preview release just a couple of days ago. And so that new version of Backdrop is available for testing ahead of the minor release of Backdrop 126 that will be coming out officially on September 15th. That's next Friday. Let's see, other announcements. We also we'll reiterate the Backdrop Live is around the corner. It's the week after the release, the 22nd and 23rd of this month. And you can find out more about Backdrop Live at events.backdropcms.org. Let's see, Jen, there's a little contrib update too. Do you want to give us the quick update there?
Sure. So since last week, we have one new module released, and it's the Enacast module, which apparently is a podcast player from the Enacast podcast service.
Yep, great. All right. So we're thinking with such a small group today that we'd kind of review what got into 126 and what still has the ability to get into 126. If you'll recall from last meeting, we extended feature freeze through the holiday weekend. So feature freeze was actually just Monday of this week. So it's only been a couple of days since feature freeze, and the things that we got in with that extended holiday are the issue to allow link module fields to be only internal or external URLs. There's now a new option on link fields. This can be useful to disable the autocomplete if you have a link field that is exclusively only external URLs, like a link to someone's blog or something like that from their profile page. You don't need internal links. That's issue 5678. That issue is part of 126. Surprise issue that I didn't see coming that was completed is issue 6122, which allows themes to have config folders. This issue by Doc Wilmot just kind of came together pretty quickly. And it's exactly what it sounds like, that modules include a config directory that includes all of their settings, and themes only were using keys in their .info files. They actually were already using config, but they registered their defaults via their .info files instead of having a config directory like modules do. And so this brings in consistency there to make it so that themes can also ship with predefined config the same way that modules can. Let's see, we added a small new function, user role has permission. This is issue 6186. That's just a new utility function. We got test coverage on that and got that merged. And let's see, there was some other issue. We also updated jQuery.once to be compatible with jQuery 3.x and moving forward. So that small little issue. When I made the release, I put in the release notes kind of the I wouldn't call it really an area of focus, but the area emphasis for the 126 release seems to be the biggest thing that we have to really market around it is updating our third-party dependencies. So the jQuery 3.x upgrade is probably the biggest change in the 126 release, and it's just some housekeeping that's been kind of nagging at us for a long time, and I'm really glad to see that jQuery is now up to date on Backdrop, and actually this past week a new version of jQuery was released, and IndigoZilla was quick to release another pull request that updates not just from jQuery 3.x, but now the very, very latest version that just came out a couple days ago. So really happy to see that kind of housekeeping happening. And then 126 is also going to be used to kind of as our like preparation release for the upgrade to CKEditor 5. There's some work happening to update the status report to include the version of CKEditor on the status report, and to let people know like what's going to happen for this next 4-month window in between, like when Backdrop 126 comes out, it doesn't have CKEditor 5 in it, yet CKEditor 4 is going to be end of life officially in November. So there's going to be a little window in here where Backdrop users are going to be running potentially an unsupported version of CKEditor in between, like when 126 comes out, and then 127 ideally will actually include CKEditor 5. In the meantime, we're going to redirect people to the contrib module if they're interested in trying out CKEditor 5 during that little unsupported window. And in the meantime, a lot of development focus is going to be over in the contrib module over there, where we're putting together that new version of the CKEditor module. That's actually also been seeing a lot of activities past couple of days. IndigoZilla is a community contributor who has been working on improving that contrib module, specifically the generic HTML support. I haven't checked in exactly on what's been happening over there, but I have been seeing some updates coming through that she's now working directly on the module to improve it and get that support working. Let's see. There are a couple of issues that we talked about last week that didn't make it in. I don't think I'm going to run through them all because it's unfortunate that we had some things that were multiple things that were very close for the 126 release, but just based on who was available over the weekend and what got attention, not all of them got completed. I will say one thing that didn't get in that I wasn't expecting to, but something that has been moving forward is the ability to use a different storage backend for config. And forgive me, I lost the issue number here. Here it is, 2277. This issue has been moving forward pretty consistently over the past couple of weeks, and it's kind of it's not going to be in 126, but it is interesting to see it moving forward. This issue potentially makes it so that instead of having your config hosted on disk, which is still going to be the default, it adds an option to store your active configuration in the database instead. And there's multiple potential scenarios in which this could be useful. But for now, this issue is just making this available as an option and not particularly pushing it towards, being the default or even recommending situations in which you'd want it. It's just making it available as an option. So anyway, it's interesting to see that really moving forward. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's kind of it for the 126 news. Jen, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Just that there are a handful of other little surrounding issues for 126 that we could use assistance on for the CKEditor stuff. There's a issue that adds it to the status report with the current version number so people can check that. And then there's also an issue for telemetry. Thanks for your feedback on those. I went and looked at the pull request and merged in the suggestions, but it would be good if we could get someone else's eyes on those before they went in. And then there is one other thing. What was it? The interest cohort header.
Oh yeah, the interest cohort header, which we've talked about a couple of times recently. That's issue 6199.
6199.
Yeah, and I just want I moved that into the 126 milestone, even though we didn't get it merged before feature freeze, because it's like such a minor thing, kind of housekeeping, and it would be nice to just get that in as well. Um,
And then just one other
yeah. Oh,
thought
the
is that,
telemetry thing. Sorry, I had something to say
oh, no,
about
go
that.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great that we're going to get telemetry on uh, into the CK editor module that is in core right now, with the plan that both CKEditor 4 and the new CKEditor 5 modules both will report telemetry data to backdropcms.org, and then we'll be able to see, ideally, the number of sites running CKEditor 4, the number of sites that are running CKEditor 5, and a separate report of how many sites are running both. And so we'll be able to tell, how common is the scenario of people running two editors at the same time, both running 4 and 5. And that will, in the future, inform our decisions about removing CKEditor 4, or maybe being a little bit more aggressive about our status report messages. Could potentially be a thing where we might more strongly word the get off of CKEditor 4 warning as that number starts to dwindle. Or if it doesn't dwindle, we'll have data to make our decisions on. I think that's a
Yeah.
great idea.
So I can work on a pull request that adds the same implementation to the CKEditor 5 module. Should that report the data to the backdrop project node as well, or should it go to the CKEditor 5 page?
What a great question.
Because it's going to
Um,
be in core in the future, so I feel like having the data for backdrop is important, but do we need it there now, or should we wait till it goes into core until it switches over?
I think that we could go ahead and, I mean, we're already working really strongly towards this is going to be the core module. I think that it
Okay,
should report to the backdrop project as well, especially because if we want to record, and this is yet to be decided, but if both CKEditor 4 and 5 modules both report their version number as to just generally CKEditor version, like they both can aggregate their data into one number, then there's no choice about it. We have to log it to the backdrop project anyway. So I
okay,
definitely would lean that direction.
okay.
All right. I think that's kind of all that we've got. I just wanted to give the rundown on 126 this week, I think. And thank everyone again for all of the work putting together what got into 126. Oh, there's also a lot of issues that there was somebody raised the question about what about all the bug fixes? There's been like a couple dozen bug fixes because it's been a long time since the 125 release had an update. We're on 125.1. And the 126 preview release does include all of the bug fixes that went into the 125 release as well. So that's a couple dozen additional fixes. And also, in between this period here where we've got time between this week's release and the release that will come out, gosh, just next Friday, there's still time to get in all of the other bug fixes that are still open. And I know that reviewing has been a bottleneck as usual. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 RTBC issues still. The focus was on getting in the 126 minor issues over the weekend, and now the objective before the final release will be to make sure that we clean out this queue of issues that have reached RTBC but haven't yet made it into being merged. So we're going to see at least another half dozen merges before they release next week, and potentially more than that, because the number of issues that we've got in the 125.2 milestone is quite long. So there's a lot of things to be merged and reviewed. Okay. Well, in the absence of more participants and more topics, I think that we're really going to kind of wrap it up for today and just say thank you once again. And we're looking forward to the release of 126 next week.
Great. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. We'll see you all next week, we hope. So thanks.